Brussels sprouts, one of the most flavourable, tasty and interesting vegetables around, which are very often just treated kind of badly. So it's what I'm going to do with these guys is I'm going to just lightly trim them, blanch them in some lightly salted water. I'm going to trim off the edge, chop them in half, and then with a little bit of coconut oil, I'm going to just roast them till they're kind of almost a little bit lovely and brown and bringing out those flavours. Carrot wise, I've got these lovely little baby carrots. Now you don't have to use these, you could use any kind of carrot chopped into chunks and so on, but if you can get them, they're a nice little treat to make this little dish look interesting. Potato wise, just normal floury potatoes. I've said to pre-cook them. You could pre-boil them, but a handy trick is you could also just stick them in the microwave and let them cook for about 4 or 5 minutes, just to give them a head start, so that you're not waiting around and there's it's not overcomplicating things. So the sauce, what I'm going to do with this, very simple. I'm going to use a zero-fat Greek yogurt. You could use one with some fat and so on, not a big deal. Just going to put a little bit of lemon zest in it, and a pile of fresh mint, just a nice bunch of fresh mint. Just mix that through, bring life into the dish, and I'm then going to just serve, just garnish that with loads of pomegranate seeds, using walnuts, and the combination of the walnuts and the yogurt will bring lots of protein into this dish and make it really fresh, vibrant, and then try to give it an interesting dish using a nice twist on Brussels sprouts. I hope you enjoyed. So to prepare your sprouts, all you need to do is just, if there's any kind of poor quality leaves, just pull them off any old way, and then just don't cut the sprout too high up. Cut it just at the very base, just to trim off what is often that kind of poor area, this kind of piece here, and just barely trim it off. And then if there's any bad quality leaves, just pull those off. They'll come off just using the edge of the knife. And then you can just discard those. And then what we're going to do is, I'm just going to get the sprout. And the reason it's very important to keep the sprout as whole as possible is that when I cut it in half, I don't want the sprout to be falling apart. I want to have a nice full piece. So I'm just going to prepare all the sprouts just like that. So the next job I'm going to do here, after trimming all my Brussels sprouts, there we are, is I have a nice spot of boiling water, lightly salted, and I'm going to just pop all my sprouts in there and blanch them. Now, because it's lightly salted water, you won't need to season the sprouts after a little while. And I'm just going to get those blanching, and then I have another separate container here filled with nice cold water. So I'm going to cook them partially in here, in the boiling water, get them up to a boil, say about 2 or 3 minutes, and then immediately transfer them into the cold water just to cool them down. So I've brought my sprouts to a nice rolling boil, and now going to, when they're a little bit tender, I'm going to now transfer them over and immediately cool them down in the cold water. Now I'm also going to use the same water, and I'm going to give, just to speed my carrots along in the oven, I'm going to give them pretty much the same treatment. And doesn't matter if you have a few leaves of the sprouts still in the water. So I'm just going to take my carrots and again allow them to cook in that water until they're a little bit tender. Now the carrots will take a bit longer than the sprouts, and then I'm going to transfer them over and cool them down as well. Now as my carrots are cooling down, what I've done is I've just drained off my Brussels sprouts, just simply as they were. And my carrots are just, you don't really have to cool down the carrots in the same way. I'm just going to add a little piece of coconut oil. And I'm just going to allow it to coat my sprouts. You don't need a lot, but a teaspoon. I probably used a little piece too much, I'll take a piece out. Just enough to get a nice little coating of oil over all these sprouts. And then I've just got that on a heat just to melt down the coconut oil. And then when I think that's melted down a little bit, I'm just going to take my sprouts and put them onto a roasting dish. Now, this will take a few minutes to do, but trust me, it's worth it. Take your sprouts and turn them all with the cut side down. I know I've just turned on, I'm just going to turn it off again. Oh, that's just turned off again. So get your sprouts and turn them all with the cut side down. just like that. And there they are, all the sprouts. Just turned down, facing the, on the side that I sliced, very lightly oiled. And then I'm going to give them a very, very light piece of salting. You don't need to use much salt here for the simple reason that they were cooked in lightly salted water. I like to use that potassium salt, but again, it's up to yourself with that. And then I'm going to pop those into the oven on the hottest temperature possible until they start to brown up, about 20-30 minutes maybe. Now this next thing, I've just again drained off my carrots. I haven't bothered cooling my carrots because there's no need to worry about that. And then I'm going to put a little bit of coconut oil in there. And then I'm going to also add my pre-cooked potatoes in with the carrots. Just like that. Just lightly toss them out. Not a great potato there, I'll just take it out. Again, very, very light little salting. And then what I'm going to do is pop that onto a separate roasting tray. And again, pop it into the same oven with the sprouts. You see, I want the sprouts to kind of brown in a very specific way, so that's why I didn't put everything onto the one pan. So I'm just going to let those cook away then in the oven until they're just nice and tender and, you know, nice and roasty. Now to very quickly make my sauce with this as well, there's my yogurt. And now I'm just going to add in my roughly chopped mint. You don't have to be fancy with this. And the juice and zest from a lemon. That's it. Simple as that. Mix all that together and get this lovely, fresh, simple little sauce. I'm just going to make that and put it aside. Now after about 25 minutes in your hottest oven, there's my carrots and my potatoes. Don't forget these had been pre-cooked, so they cook pretty fast. And again, a good hot oven. And now I'm just going to add my walnuts in there just to get a bit of toastiness into the walnuts. And just pop those back in the oven for about another 5 minutes as the sprouts are still cooking away. So there we have it. There's my walnuts, my carrots and my potatoes, beautifully cooked, just the way I want them. And then also, I have my sprouts. And I can just toss those up a little bit. And as you can see, there's a lovely, by putting them down face down, I'm getting a lovely browning on the surface of the sprout, which is just exactly what I wanted. So I'm just going to now plate up this dish, which is very, very easy. Just get yourself a nice bowl. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my nice lemony yogurt. And I'm going to put a generous amount onto the plate. Let that all spread over. Next up, I'm just going to spoon or essentially dump my carrots and potatoes and walnuts all over that. Just let it fall any old way. Don't get too caught up in it. Next up, my sprouts, which will pretty much get the same treatment. And just let those fall just nicely all over the place. So now you have your proteins coming in with your walnuts and your nice yogurt. And then finally, I'm going to use my pomegranate seeds, which I've just de-seeded. I'm just going to generously sprinkle them all over the place. Very last thing, maybe a little bit of black pepper. Sprinkling of a nice good olive oil. And then maybe just a couple of mint sprigs, just randomly placed around, just to garnish up the dish. Give those little hits of mintiness. And there you have it.